It's Salvaje, and here's my Fortnite Save the World in-depth weapon review on the Gammatron 9000 that you can obtain from Sci-Fi Llamas. Of course, my supporter creator code is Salvaje, and if you guys want to rock that, that would always be highly appreciated. With that said, let's get straight into the review. So the Gammatron 9000 isn't really that bad of an assault rifle. It's actually pretty decent at the medium to close ranges, and for the most part, you're going to be doing a lot of high damage shots, specifically if you have a really good last perk for this weapon. I reviewed this weapon with the last perk that every time that it fires the gun or something, like you get 1.8 critical rating or something like that. Don't quote me on the wording, by the way, of the last perks that this weapon can have, but the point is, I got 1.8 critical rating added to my weapon every time I fired it or something like that, which meant that I was going to be getting a lot of critical damage value. And basically this meant that I was going to be getting a lot of critical damage bullets into the husk, which means that I'm going to be killing things very quickly, just to put it very simply. And that's what I really liked about the Gammatron 9000. I used it on 130 plus missions, I used it on the 100 plus missions, like at the lower levels as well. And for the most part, I really enjoyed myself using the weapon. I never really felt as if, wow, this weapon just can't kill things quickly enough. I will have to say, however, that when it came down to, some high priority targets like smashers, I feel like the weapon took a little bit of time. For the most part, I can safely say that this is a really good weapon to have in that primary slot. In other words, the slot that you're going to use to sort of take care of basic husks and other high priority husks, like for example some blasters as well as husky husks. Blasters in specifically, by the way, because this weapon loses about 50% of its damage at the 6 tile range, which isn't that great considering other top tier assault rifles like the Wraith and the Pain Train lose 50% of its damage at about 7 to 8 tiles, with the Hemlock also being 7 to 8. But the point is that this assault rifle definitely does the job that it's supposed to do. I think it's an assault rifle that's meant for lower tier husk, and it does that work really well. But of course, again, it does pretty decent damage to some high priority targets. And even though it doesn't kill a smasher extremely quickly, it can also, get the job done pretty well, I guess you could say. Specifically, if you also have the war cry ability on your hero. I really enjoyed using the weapon, okay? And the weapon also has a lot of perk variety, specifically when it comes down to the last perk that the weapon can have. I just want to point out, do not quote me on the wording of these last perks, okay? And these last perks are a bit complicated to explain, so I'm going to put it on the most simplest terms as possible. So one of the last perks that this weapon can get is that every time that you fire it, I think you get like 1.8 critical rating. If you have that last perk and you want to be getting a lot of really fast, quick damage on regular husk, then definitely go for that perk. I think that perk is very helpful, and it's the last perk that I had for my Gammatron. I also have another Gammatron that has the last perk that every time that you get a critical damage bullet to proc, you do like an AoE type effect that like scatters bullets around. I think that last perk is really good for offensive type modes like eliminate and collect, destroy the encampments, refuel the home base, and also rescue the survivors. So if you want to use the Gammatron 9000 for offensive type game modes like destroy the encampments again, you definitely want that 6 perk because it can definitely help you out. It also helps a lot that the Gammatron 9000 has a really large magazine. If you get the magazine size perk on this thing, I believe mine had 67 bullets, and I didn't even have it all the way up to legendary, which means that I can go for a critical rating, critical damage roll and still get a lot of value out of my critical damage bullets. So yeah, again, the getting a critical damage shot to explode into like like multiple bullets and do AoE damage, that's really good too. And apparently this weapon also has the 6 perk that it causes like a ring of damage. I'm gonna give it to you guys straight. I'm not really a huge fan of this ring of damage thingy that the Gammatron 9000 has, but that's just me, right? For the most part, I think all of the 6 perk that this weapon has are pretty much really good. But if you want to get the most, in my eyes, the one that gives you 1.8 critical rating every time that you fire it or something like that is the best last perk, because it's just gonna make the weapon good overall. As you guys know, when I like to review my weapons, I also like to take the, you know, other things into consideration, like how it performs on a team-based environment with gadgets and all that stuff. And this weapon performed like a top-tier assault rifle when I was testing it in environments like that, which is why, again, I can just recommend this weapon to everybody. Yes, it does use energy cells, and you can only have 3,000 energy cells, which means you're gonna have to be, you know, crafting energy cells every 2 to 4 missions or something like that. But oh, and energy cells do take bacon, but Epic did say that, you know, they are looking into energy cells, and maybe in the future they might not take bacon. So that's why I don't really think that's much of a hurdle. I will say that there are a couple of more hurdles that the weapon has, though. The hipfire on it isn't ideal, alright? You don't want to hipfire with this thing, even at the close ranges. Sometimes at the close ranges, I thought that the hipfire on this thing was just terrible, right? That I didn't want to use it at all. And also, another hurdle that this weapon has is that it's an energy weapon, right? It's locked into an energy weapon, which means that if you're going against, if you're doing a level 140 mission, a level 140, 160 mission, 191 mission, and you're going against Fire Husk, you absolutely don't want to be using an energy weapon, right? You want to be using a water weapon, because at those high level missions, you know, having the weapon that counters the Husk is definitely necessary. Well, the Gammatron 9000 just isn't going to be able to do this, right? So that's what makes the Gammatron 9000 maybe not a top tier assault rifle. Maybe it might not make it to my best assault rifles list as of mid 2019 in Save the World. That video will be coming out next season, by the way. But for the most part, I think the Gammatron 9000 has a lot of use. I think it's a really good assault rifle that you can rock if you have the means to have a lot of energy ammo at the moment. And it's pretty fun, and it's pretty unique. Despite the fact that it's a burst rifle, also means that you're going to be more accurate with it as well. And the bursts are actually really fast firing, which means that it's also a fully automatic type weapon. Okay, I'm rambling on right now. Not ninja rating, star rating. It's going to be a 4 out of 5 stars. It's just really consistent at doing its job, and the only reason why it's not a 5 out of 5 stars is because the weapon, you know, can have the other elements like water and nature and fire, as well as, of course, a couple of other hurdles. Anyways, when it comes down to the recommended perks, I went with critical rating, critical damage roll with magazine size. Absolutely, you know, I went with that roll because, again, really long magazine size, which means that you can go for a critical rating, critical damage roll. But that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop it a like, and feel free to check out my other weapon reviews in the description below. Peace out.